Hey everyone, welcome to Fletched and Loaded. My name is Tony Gershon. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit here. It's just me this week. We had some really screwy things happen with the podcast this week. Mostly my fault because the family and I were out of town in Washington saying hello to my dad for his birthday. So we actually weren't able to be back by Sunday to release this, so I am doing it, of course, now on Monday. Was able to take some time off. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, but before we start into that, I did want to give a shout out to a few different people. Not our sponsors or anything, but just some couple different awesome groups of people that we love to support and would love you guys to check out too. And of course, the first one is Spirit Quest Archery here in Kalispell, Montana. If you guys are able to come by Kalispell area and you guys need a really cool, nice, very knowledgeable, professional bow shop to go to, Spirit Quest Archery is amazing. They're down south of town in Kalispell, and they're over by Distinctive Countertops. If there's locals here that don't know about the shop, across from Fun Beverage there. They know a lot of stuff about bows. They're very professional about tuning, and they take a lot of really good pride and effort into everything that they do. So we always want to give them a shout out down there. Kim and Kevin Friedman, they're awesome. Really love those guys, and we stand by their products and everything that they do. So go down there and tell them Fletched and Loaded sent you. Give them a hey, what's up from me, and you won't be disappointed by checking those guys out and shooting out at the range and everything that they do. So the other company that we love to really shout out for is Black Eagle Arrows. Both Josh and I shoot Black Eagle arrows, and I know I shoot the vintage arrows. I know I've said a few times, and they're shooting so great that there's really nothing that I can say bad about them. I've actually shot them and tried to figure out what is something that I don't like about this arrow. And to be completely honest, I don't have any downfalls to it. I don't have anything that I look at and I go, man, I wish that they would have worked on this or whatever. It's a great arrow. They stand up to what they say about their product. They take a huge amount of pride in their work. And, I stand behind them completely, and I'm glad to give them my money for these arrows that we shoot. They come in, of course, different tolerances, spines, just like every archer knows. But they have such a wide selection of different arrows. They have everything from, the real thick diameter, wide diameter line cutters, especially if you're shooting like indoor archery style, you need to really get those thick diameters to cut that line and get that next step up. For your scoring, they shoot those, and I think they're called Challengers. Josh shoots those. He loves those arrows. They have like crossbow arrows, bolts, and just a bunch of other style of arrows. I think they got like some what are they called? Zombie killers, I don't remember the exact name, but I've seen a lot of guys shooting those zombie killers, zombie arrows, and they're just slaying everything that they're shooting out when they're out hunting. So they really hold up. The strength of them really hold up, and I've personally never heard of anyone that says I really don't like their arrows. If I have, then to each their own. But seriously, I've never found anything bad about them. So again, we'd like to let them know how much we love their product, and anyone that is interested in checking out any kind of new arrow, that's one that I highly recommend. I shoot every time I go out. So great job to Black Eagle Arrows. So we're gonna go ahead and get this podcast started. We got a couple fun things to talk about, a couple controversial things, and we'll kind of see what the people think about those kind of things. But hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. And we'll see you here in just a second. All right. And we're live. Oh, of course. Yeah, no, as soon as I get used to saying "and we're live," I'm not actually this week recording. Okay. Well, we're not live on YouTube this week. We took a break because of me being in Washington. I was in the Spokane area where my parents actually are. So sorry guys, everyone. We kind of got used to trying out the YouTube live thing, and it's been fun trying to figure out some kind of bit rate differences and this and that so that we have some clear video audio quality. We had some real weird issues last week when, of course, Josh was able to hang out with us. We had some, like, you know, while we were playing the stuff that we were looking at on the computer, of course, it was just like it was lagging out, and you know, there's really no way that I can check that out live. That's why you need a producer, to be honest, you know, about that. You got to have someone that's sitting there like checking it out and going, okay, audio differences are weird here, because I get some weird audio between, like, when I play a video through our headphones, I get like perfect audio and I'm like, oh, okay, right there, we're fine. But then the recording that we're doing for the podcast actually records, what is it? It records almost muted. Like, it's really, really low. You can barely even hear it. And you can check that out, actually, on the last episode. Some of the videos we played, you can barely hear the audio. But then you watch on YouTube, and the audio for the videos is just blaring, and you can't even hear what Josh and I are talking about. So, seriously, we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to, you know, kind of figure out with the boards that we have, the soundboards and stuff, how to kind of even that all out. So I apologize for that, guys. I'm going to just try to release the audio if we're not able to get like a good quality or whatever. You know, I'm just going to try to get you guys the best recording that I can from, you know, when we do in fact record live audio and visual, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean? Stream it. There we go. But yeah, how's your guys' week going? I hope it's going pretty good so far. It's weird. I don't feel like it's Monday. I don't feel like it's Monday at all. It's probably just because we were gone, you know, and with family. And, of course, I mean, when you're with family, it's just, you know, usually, I don't know about you guys, but usually it's just like one thing right after another. You're just trying to fit as much stuff as you can in to do. And so we actually left Montana on Friday night and headed over to Washington, to Spokane, and got in and, you know, was able to do the breakfast thing and all that stuff and hang out. And I really badly actually wanted to check out one of the archery ranges down there in Spokane. Looks like a pretty sweet outdoors range that they have, you know, some targets at different ranges, different distances. But we couldn't fit it down. There was no time that we could fit it in. So we went and did the walk around down at Riverfront Park, which, you know, people in this area kind of know what I'm talking about. And if there's anyone from out of town that is going into that area, check out Riverfront Park. It's a really beautiful place to go check out. They have like suspension bridges that are going over the river there, and big fountains and all this stuff. And, you know, it's beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful place to be able to go check out and walk around with the family. Extremely safe, you know, area. It's actually right downtown there, next to River Park Square, the big mall there. Big mall. It's just a tall mall. But anyways, yeah, we got to do a bunch of that kind of stuff. And, you know, happy birthday to my dad. So I guess I'll say, because it's today, actually. So happy birthday, Pop, if you're listening. And love you. And it was great to be able to see you this weekend. We got some crazy fires going on here in Montana. We got some crazy wind. And, of course, wind and fire are just, I mean, it would make an amazing song if they have wind and fire is nice. I know they got a couple different techno songs and stuff that have that. But, yeah, those two do not go well in real life, having wind and fire. And so there's some crazy smoke happening around in this area. You know, and we toughed it out, though. Me and my kiddo, we toughed it out today, and we actually hiked up Lone Pine and shot some arrows at some stuff, and it was a blast, man. I haven't shot. I don't think I shot last weekend. I'm trying to remember now. Everything's a blur when you have kids. I don't think. Maybe we did. No, we did. I was able to go up last weekend. I actually had some brace height issues actually last week, and I didn't get to talk about them last week's podcast because it was like an hour and 40 minutes, that podcast was, and trying to cut it down maybe to some shorter ones. We're not getting as nearly as much of the viewership and listenership of the podcast if we have these really long podcasts. So trying to keep it like under 40 minutes if I can. But yeah, I had some crazy brace height issues for shooting last week, and all my trad guys know what I'm talking about. The distance, of course, most archers know, but if there's any beginners that are listening or people that don't know, the brace height on your bow is actually from the point of the inside of the grip, where your hand actually is on the riser. The riser is the part that you grab. The distance between that point to your string is called the brace height. And that distance, actually, the greater the distance, the more poundage you actually can have on your bow. And then, of course, there's high and low tolerances, I guess it would be, of you don't want to necessarily go over this long of a brace height because it actually can be damaging to the limbs and whatnot. But I usually shoot my bow at like 8 3/4 a brace height. It's a 68-inch bow. Excuse me. Yes, that one's 68 inches, I believe. Yeah, 68-inch bow with my 25-inch riser. And I usually shoot at like 8 3/4 of a brace height. And I shot a bunch with my buddy Jake up at Lone Pine last week. And I was just hitting low, and my bow sounded like crap because it's an ILF limb system. And, that sounds like a tin can if it's not tuned up correctly. And I was just like, man, I don't know what's going on. And the thing that I didn't really think about was I actually had left my bow in my truck. It was unstrung, so I was like, oh, there's no issue. But it was a little bit hotter that day, and it heated up my string. And what I thought of later of what happened actually was it heated up my string, and when I strung it, it actually stretched more than normal because it was stretched out pretty well. I mean, it was in a good position where it wasn't stretching a lot. And when I measured it, actually at the end of our shoot, we only had about, I think, 1 or 2 targets left to shoot. I was at like 8 1/8, So I was really, really short on my brace height. And so, I mean, considering what you normally shoot at, 8 3/4, it was a really low brace height. So I was losing quite a bit of poundage there, or enough to be able to shoot low. It wasn't keeping the tune on my bow correctly. And it was very interesting. I destrung it or unstrung it and twisted it enough, got it back to about 8 3/4. And the thing just shot like a champ, of course. It's always how it works, right? It's always right at the end of the time that you're done, you find something that makes you shoot better or whatnot. But yeah, so we went last week, and then this week we were able to go, and I didn't really have any issues with my bow this time. So it was actually a very enjoyable time to be able to go and, working with the kiddo on some traditional shooting styles and, how to grip the bow properly and stuff. But, I like I've said in previous episodes, I think he may be wanting to go to like a compound system. There's a lot, man. There's a lot that goes into a trad style when you want to get better at shooting. Whereas he's more into the technical, the gear working of how a bow works. Excuse me. So I think he would really actually enjoy being able to draw back to a back wall and, at this point, pull a trigger, on a release, and we can go into the like pulling through a shot and getting surprise shots all we want, but he's a 9-year-old, almost 10-year-old kid. So all he cares about at this point is trying to hit near what he's shooting. So yeah, anyways, we got to go up and shoot at Lone Pine, got to actually talk to a park ranger up there. Mike was his name, really nice guy. And, he was cleaning up like beer bottles and stuff, and it's such a bummer. I mean, guys, don't be that person. Anyone that goes up to a public area to shoot and stuff, don't be those guys that litter and, do that kind of stuff. And if you see it, try to pick it up, or, notify the hosts of the park to try to clean it up or whatnot. We got dogs and stuff that, we love that walking around, kids walking around. You don't want to see that kind of stuff happening. So anyways, but he was up there actually cleaning up some stuff and trying to fix some targets, and got to talk to him. And I really actually got to talk to him about the taxes that go into the state park that we shoot at all the time. Because I always thought, at the end of the season, or not the end of the season, maybe like monthly or excuse me, quarterly, maybe they look at the log that they have down at the beginning of the chute of this hill that you have to climb to go shoot at Lone Pine. They have this little log sheet, and you say, what date it was and how many are in your party shooting, and then where you're from, and then of course any comments that you have. But I always thought that the more people that actually went up to shoot there, that went to shoot this archery range, that the city actually saw, oh man, you guys have double the number of people that you did last year. We need to allocate more money towards the park to, kind of upkeep on it, because we can see that the public's going there. And at least from what this park ranger had told me, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. They actually only get a little bit of tax money from things like car registry and some concessions like food and drink that's sold up at the visitor center. And it's like $1 every whatever. He couldn't remember what it was. Like $1 every $20 or something like that. It's not a lot. So all in all, I actually asked him, I said, hey, do you know of any way that people can donate to the park, to help this out? Because, I love the archery community, and there's a lot of like intertwined archery and firearms fanatics and enthusiasts that love both things. Or there's just people that love shooting archery or taking their kids out to do things like that. And I just asked him, I said, is there any way that people can actually help this out monetarily and, send that donation in to help? And he didn't really know of anywhere online. So honestly, I'm still trying to get a hold of some people to see if there's somewhere online. But if you guys are in the area locally and you do want to go up and maybe shoot up there, he said that they do actually take donations to help improve the park and stuff up at the visitor center. So sorry, everyone that's not really in this area. If that's something you want to contribute, to, then I'll try to figure out a way maybe online that people can help support archery. And if you don't have a place to be able to do it, there's it's a beautiful range up here for anyone has been able to shoot up here. It's beautiful. But as of yet, the only place that he knew of that could take donations or any help towards it is actually up at the visitor center, up at Lone Pine here in Kalispell, Montana. So sorry for the rambling on about that, but I'm so all about trying to help out the community and keep it going, because there's so much money and effort that's going into things that aren't really needed, and things like teaching your kids to be active and go out and go hiking, and with this range, you kind of have to hike. You have to hike up this hill, mountain side, and then go and actually shoot these targets. And it's a lot of hiking down through some different like forest areas and stuff. And it's so cool to see the kids out there. Excuse me. And I see parents out there, dads, single moms, families out there with their kids, and of course just single guys and girls that are out there shooting, and love talking to them and really seeing where they're from. And it's a community. And I know everyone that understands that listens to this podcast can really understand that sense of community that you get from being able to share a liked activity together. So as I feel about it, man, we got to try to support that, and volunteer the best you can, and just try to spread the love as much as possible, especially within the archery and firearms communities. Because honestly, I don't, with things that are going the way they are, man, with politics and trying to infringe on kind of like Second Amendment rights and stuff, man, it's sketchy out there. I know that's the kind of the feeling that a lot of people have as of right now, and we got to try to take advantage of these times that we have to be able to go out and really enjoy the activities that we enjoy. It's really interesting actually, talking to people, especially people that are not into the hunting community, which, woohoo, bow hunting season's coming up here in a little bit. I'm so stoked for all my guys and gals that I know that, that are going out bow hunting this year. I'm so jealous because I want to go so badly. I have to take my bow hunters course because, as you guys know, I haven't been shooting forever, and what I've been doing, it's been like 3D shoots and field target stuff and, just indoor shooting and stuff like that. But having a brand new baby boy and the family and stuff, I just haven't been able to. So super jealous of you guys and girls that are, able to go out and go hunting this year. And I'll be joining you, and I'm actually really excited to be doing this podcast while I'm trying to figure out going through Hunter's Head, because that's going to be a really fun transition period to be able to share with everyone. And I know it's really quick, kind of a quick step to do, but I'm really excited to be able to share that with you guys. And who knows, I might actually go out, because I have taken my Hunter's Ed, of course. Montana, a lot of people do that here, so I may possibly go get a deer with a rifle this year. We'll see what happens. So if I got the time and the money to be able to go process that out and all that stuff, but really excited for you guys. But yeah, it's interesting, reading into a lot of the controversies of people that are animal rights activists, and there's so many colors to the rainbow when it comes to just a person as a person. And then you break into topics, and then there's different perspectives and agreement, disagreement on one side or the other, and then there's gray areas and all this stuff. And it's very interesting to see, especially people with hunting, the different sides that come to, it's murder, and then the complete other pendulum swing to it of, going out there and just killing everything. They don't care necessarily about the conservational side of it, but, we love killing stuff, and, and the biggest thing is that I think that people need to understand is that we're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. It's okay that we don't agree on everything. Now, as far as being biased, and now because I feel this, everyone else needs to, that's a completely ignorant side of view there, point of view on your part, because all in all, we want to be able to have the freedom that we have living in this country that we do. We want to be able to have the freedom that we have to be able to go take advantage of activities and things that we enjoy. And especially as a hunter, there's a huge pride in being able to go and gather your own food. That's such a big thing. And I would argue to say that of course the majority, but I mean like 90% of all hunters out there, male and female, they appreciate and they support the conservation of the animal that they're hunting. And you can look up the numbers of how many millions and millions of dollars have been raised by conservation. And literally what that is doing is, a conservational viewpoint is you're looking at the population of a specific animal, like whitetail, for instance, and you're saying, okay, the population is completely boomed in this last season, this last mating cycle. So we have this many that we need to kill off so that it can even out the population again. Then we don't have as many, like bear killings and all this stuff going through, and we're actually getting the money from the tags, from the classes to be able to go out hunting, and doing it the correct way, legal way. We're not poaching. We're not going out and just shooting stuff, but we're doing it in a very ethical way to be able to keep populations where they need to be. And it actually makes the animal thrive in those kind of situations. So I've never understood the argument on the animal rights activist side that it's just killing. You're just killing. The bottom line is your perspective is small. Your perspective is within your own little life. And I'm not saying that you don't impact things and you don't make a big boom on the world or on your community or whatnot. I'm glad that you're able, these kind of people, I'm glad that you're able to really influence the people around you and whatnot. But sometimes you need to know a little bit more about what you're arguing about. And I think that's the biggest thing that people run into now is the fact that, they argue a point, but they don't know what they can about that issue, about that topic. They just want to be mad because of the fact that other people are mad. So it's easy to bandwagon together and just argue a point because of the fact that you have so much backing behind you. It's upsetting. It's very upsetting. I know that I have, and a lot of other people have seen this whole thing with the Bomars, I believe. Yeah, Bomars and Under Armour. I knew the Under Armour was kind of a part of this, and it's super frustrating, man. It's weird to see a company that so many hundreds of thousands, I would almost argue millions of people, of hunters, specifically hunters, because that's what this whole topic has to do with, hunters that support Under Armour because, biggest thing, they make an amazing product. They make lightweight gear. They make very I don't know what the word is, but very needed clothing, gear, equipment that they need for going out backpacking and getting out into these areas where the very hard to reach, like mountain sheep are and whatever. I mean, I've heard of a couple different, and I can't remember the name of the sheep and the goats and stuff that are shooting out there, but all around the world, man, there's a lot of these different kind of animals that you got to go backpacking for 2-3 days sometimes just to be able to get in their territory. I know that's an exaggerated statement to say what I'm saying, but long story short, there's people that support Under Armour so much that it's just flabbergasting, honestly, to see something like this that had happened. And if you guys don't know what happened, Josh and Sarah Bomar, Sarah actually was the one, she's a hunter, and she was sponsored by Under Armour. And they, for years and years, have actually supported Under Armour with their own money as well. And if you guys don't know, of course, how sponsorship works, they send you gear for free because they want you to wear their product. They want you to, it's, free advertising at that point. You're on TV, you're on pictures, you're on all your social medias and whatnot. And you're wearing this brand new jacket. You're wearing this brand new pair of pants that, wicks away moisture and all this stuff, whatever. And so Sarah actually is the one that was sponsored by Under Armour, and Josh, her husband, those two, they were actually up in Canada. The story is they're up in Canada hunting black bear, and they had the tag, they had the area that they were able to hunt in, and they decided to go and kill this bear with a spear. And spear hunting is not as well known as a hunting method, but it is a hunting method. There are people that just hunt with spears, or in their off time they want to go kill boars with spears. I mean, I've seen tons and tons of pictures of guys like hiding up in trees and killing these boars that overrun population of like plants and all this people's farms and whatnot. They hide up in trees and they'll spear them down from the trees and stuff. No one bats an eye at it. No one cares. But Josh takes a spear, who loves Under Armour. They both love Under Armour completely, have sponsored them, like I said, for a long time. Thousands of their dollars they've spent on Under Armour. So it's not sponsored gear that they've bought. They've spent their own money. They really stand behind this. And you can actually watch the video of him killing this bear. I wonder if I can find it here for you guys. I'll try to find that and post it maybe on the blog, but on the website for the description of the podcast. But you can actually watch the video. He got probably within 15 yards of this black bear, and that just takes freaking guts at that point. I mean, you're up on this bear with just a spear. Good luck, man. I mean, the whole time I'm just like hands off that one, because that's such an amazing different way to really get in the mix. I mean, he has to be shaking and just freaking out and stuff. But yeah, he's up there. Bear is kind of just feeding around the barrel and stuff up there in the clearing, and he makes an excellent throw with this spear, and kills the bear. And, he's every shot that anyone takes, rifle, bow, spear, it looks like at this point, your adrenaline is just pumping so big. Of course you're excited when you make this throw or this shot and you get the animal that you're trying to ethically kill as best as possible, because that's what you're there for. You're not there to pet them and say hello and we'll see you in the next Disney movie. That's not what you're there for. You're there to harvest this animal that you legally bought a tag for, where you legally can kill it with the instrument that you're actually using at that point. And what happened was he makes this kill, and he, of course, kind of does like a little jump, and he's like, oh my gosh, I killed it. Oh, like he's so excited, because you're taking life to feed life at that point. That's what hunting is. And there was a huge backlash on him for this. They took a picture. They posted the video. He actually had like a GoPro, I think, on the spear. He had a camera on the spear. I just don't know what kind of camera. But he had a camera on the spear. You saw the throw from a camera behind him. You saw the throw from the spear. Bear runs off, dies in the woods. And he's just overwhelmed with this. I mean, you don't know unless you hunt. Sadness, excitement. You're, like I said, you're taking a life for this food that you're needing. You're bringing home to your family. People that don't know that, they can't appreciate what it takes to go through that. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to hunt. There's people that just will never do that. I don't know if my wife will ever hunt. But that's okay. I'm fine with that. But she understands the fact that that's where food comes from. It comes from, if you're a meat eater, it comes from an animal that's alive and you got to kill it and eat it. I mean, that's just where it comes from. We've all become so desensitized to the fact of where our food comes from that you can go ask a kid, especially like there was one kid, I believe it was in Vancouver, that we were talking to, that we said, hey, do you know where this turkey comes from? And he was like, the grocery store. And it was just ground turkey. It was like ground beef, but it's turkey. And we said, no, like where does it come before that? And he goes, well, it comes from the market down there, and then it comes to the grocery store. And the kid was like 12. I mean, it wasn't like he was a 4 or 5 year old kid. He didn't know where his food was coming from. And so it was just very eye-opening to see that there's a disconnect between what you're eating is something that is actually harvested from something else. And so I think that's the biggest thing people need to realize with this. So he got a lot of backlash. Under Armour, going on with the story, Under Armour got huge criticism from the animal rights activists, from just random public, people that just hated this picture of them with this bear, Freudian slip, with this bear, and they had the spear, and they were smiling. Oh my gosh, how can you smile with having killed this beautiful animal? And it's so crazy to see someone criticize someone for doing this beautiful thing that has actually happened. And it's a beautiful thing. And again, you don't know until you actually do something like that, unless you actually kill an animal and eat the animal that you're killing for that reason. You can't explain it. So he actually got a ton of backlash. Sarah got a ton of backlash. Under Armour got crazy backlash. And long story short, Under Armour dropped Sarah Bomar as a sponsor for Under Armour. And she had made some comments of like, they asked her for a comment of how did she feel about this? And she said, I'm hoping to post something here after I stop being so emotional towards this. And you can only imagine her and her husband did nothing wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. They're hunters. They're avid hunters. It's been very well known forever that they're hunters. So that implies that they hunt. And they did everything ethically. They did everything legally, by the book, got the tag, spear hunting is very well known and accepted. It's an accepted method of hunting up in British Columbia, where they were, and a few different provinces up there in Canada. Everything was legal. They did everything legal. They didn't hit the spear in his leg and make him suffer. He made an ethical throw. He killed it as quickly as possible. He actually goes into this part of this comment that he had made of how he personally believes that the spear actually is a more ethical way to kill than than a bow or a gun, because it actually penetrates further, creating more damage, of course, and killing it quicker. So there's a lot of controversy, a lot of hunters that are extremely mad. There's a guy that posted a video of him setting the Under Armour hat and shirt that he wore a bunch, setting them on fire, and Under Armour's not going to necessarily care about, we lost a shirt and a hat, but that's a huge statement to that company. He's saying the millions and millions of dollars that us hunters have spent on this, it's going to make an impact on you guys, just because the fact that some public came up to you and said that they were unhappy about something that ethically was correct. Nothing was wrong with what they did. And so, again, for any of you guys out there that are animal rights activists and for some reason listen to our podcast, we love you guys, but broaden your perspective a little bit. Everything's about perspective. There's nothing wrong with hunting. There really isn't. It's a very beautiful and passionate thing that people take from that experience. It's the basis of life. It's where we started. And so I just, again, if there's anyone out there that really just stands by the fact that they can't stand these two for doing something that they did correctly, then, I think you guys need some perspective change and really see of where your food comes from, honestly. Because it's crazy, man. It's a crazy world out there right now. So I'm glad that I'm glad that there's a huge backlash towards Under Armour from the hunters, because they're pretty much saying, we always thought that you'd have our backs. You've always stood by your product and the fact that hunters love your clothes and your gear. And it's very eye-opening to see when the stress is put on people, when the stress is put on organizations, which way they bend. And, man, it's a bummer. I think actually John Dudley from Knock On is actually affiliated with some Under Armour guys. I wonder what he has to say about that. I'll have to check out some of his podcasts. But, yeah, anyways, I did want to end that little thing, though, with a statement that Josh actually, the one that threw the spear, which was the crazy thing. Just to end that whole thing, Josh was the one that threw the spear. He had the tag to kill this bear. He wasn't sponsored by Under Armour. Sarah was, his wife. So, Josh, not sponsored, just loves Under Armour, throws the spear, kills the bear ethically, legally, and then his wife gets kicked from Under Armour. Does that make sense to anyone else? I mean, there's no reason for that. Honestly, I would see more from Under Armour's perspective if Sarah was the one that threw the spear and killed the bear. It's still wrong. It's still completely 100% wrong. But at least in that situation, I would see, okay, she's affiliated. The people didn't like the fact that she killed the bear with a spear, which that's just ignorance, because people don't know that they still kill things with spears. There's companies that create spears that are modern spears, higher technology for these spears. They fly better, everything that you look at. The advancement of the bow, the advancement of the gun. Just because it's not as well known doesn't mean that it's not an ethical way of hunting. It's not as well known. I'll give everyone that. But again, going back to Josh was the one that did actually the throwing. He was the one that killed the bear with the spear. That's what everyone's upset about. But just because of the fact that she smiled in the picture, I guess, and was the wife of the person that did this, she was the one that got fired. Whatever. It doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me at all. And I hope actually that they release some kind of statement as an apology, because, man, the hunting community is all about, at least everyone that I've ever met, in the hunting community. It's about being kind of the homegrown, honesty. That you get a sense of reality when you're out there hunting, and that's something that a lot of hunters kind of share with each other, and they can share with people that don't understand it, as long as they're in their right mind and they're not just emotional and whatnot. But Josh did, he said, I just wanted to read this little part of the article on those two. He said, as you might imagine, Josh, who the company didn't sponsor, is no longer a fan of the company, Under Armour. And then as he told Wide Open Spaces, which I'm guessing is another website community there that was able to get some words from him, Josh actually said, quote, I'm sorry, I'll read the first part and then I'll say the quote. But it says, Josh, a huge advocate of Under Armour gear at the time, wore and supported Under Armour for no financial gain. He told us that after this stipend Under Armour gave them, they spent thousands of dollars of their own money on Under Armour gear. And then he says, quote, we thought that Under Armour would have our back. We thought that we could trust them. We were going to be them with them forever. It just blows my mind and actually hurts my soul, says Josh, end quote. And then they closed the interview by saying that they'll never stop hunting, and the only question that remains is, will Under Armour ever stop folding to the pitchfork mafia? So, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a crazy world out there. There's a lot of people with opinions, and now they have a platform for it. Everyone has a voice, and unfortunately everyone feels that just because they have a voice that's megaphoned on social media of some kind, that their voice then is correct. And I beg to differ, man. There was a time in our existence, in our generations, that vulnerability was actually something that was appreciated. The discipline of learning was looked upon a lot higher than it is now. And it's something that I strive for, of course, to teach my kids. It's something that I strive for myself. The fact of being vulnerable, man, is so extremely important. It's, humility isn't a weakness. Humility, especially in the fact of trying to perfect something in your life, being vulnerable and being having humility, being humble, is one of the best things that you can do. If you don't know something about a certain aspect of your life, like maybe you have an anger issue, or you're trying to get better at shooting your bow, and you have someone there that's been at that point, they've been able to progress past it, and you're messing up in an area, and you ask this person for help, that's being vulnerable. That's having humility. That's, and you have to be able to be humble and vulnerable to progress. You need to be able to progress that way. Of course you can learn on your own, but there's a lot of mistakes that happen with that. If people were able to take advice from people a lot more openly and honestly, and see that person, okay, it looks like they did actually go through that kind of situation that I'm going through right now. Maybe I should listen to their words and actually take from it the best that I can. So there's a lot to say about being vulnerable. And, I would hope that people that were going through any kind of changes and situations of trying to get better at something, that they would understand that being vulnerable is a good thing. I'm not saying in every sense it is, but, being able to get better, because that's should be our aim in life, is to get better at whatever we're working at. If it's just your personality, or communicating with others, or a sport or an activity, you have to be able to be humble and learn from what you're doing and be able to take advice from others. Josh has talked a lot about stuff like that with working out. If you got someone that's like, hey, you shouldn't do it that way, you can't just get pissed off and just say, oh, you don't know what I'm talking about, man. I'm stronger than you. I know what I'm doing. Okay, go ahead and hurt yourself. And then when you're done hurting yourself, come and talk to me. But I'm trying to help you out. And so I don't know. It bugs me. There's been a lot of stuff that's popped up on social media, and the bummer thing is that everyone has a voice and everyone thinks that they're right, and we need to kind of get past that. I think we need to get to the point where we understand that other people have voices just like we do, and we need to be able to look at all of or as many of the voices that are coming in at once and understand that, okay, maybe they have a point, and not just get emotional right away and be like, screw you, man. You need to be able to go, okay, well, why do they see it that way? Why did they look at it that way? And be able to get better from that. There's a lot of that stuff coming up from firearms issues with gun bans in certain cities and whatnot. And you got your left and your right, and you got your middle guys that just sit there and do whatever. And it's a tough situation, man. It's a tough world out there, and to think that we will figure it out by getting mad at one side or another, or thinking that because we're making a voice or some waves just on one thing, okay, good job, you made waves on one issue. What about the 25,000 other topics that are happening? So, it's just try to go out there and look at everything level-headedly as much as possible. Try to not take things as personally as possible. Of course, I work on that all the time, but it's the best way that you can go. Be disciplined at life. Be disciplined at archery. Be disciplined at shooting your guns. It's all good, guys. So, but I don't want to go too long this week. I'm trying to, of course, keep it a little bit shorter. But hopefully, you guys have enjoyed some of this stuff. I'm still working on. If you guys got to check out my Instagram, Fletched and Loaded Podcast on Instagram, you saw I've been working on some magazine changes from the concealed position. I appreciate the few different guys that had actually hit me up on that and said, hey, work on keeping it closer to your face when you're changing mag changes, and all those kind of things really help. I mean, right there is a vulnerability. I was actually like, man, I'm going to be embarrassed if someone points me out on something. Then it's like, well, I'm not perfect. Just because I have a podcast and stuff doesn't mean I'm perfect at everything that I'm talking about. I'm still learning. So I'm hoping to kind of rub some of that off on some of you guys and girls out there that feel the pressure to be perfect at everything you do just because you do it. That's nonsense. It's silly people thinking that you got to be perfect at it just because you say you do something. Just because I shoot archery doesn't mean I hit bullseyes every time. No one can say that. So maybe John Dudley, because man, that guy can shoot. But you know what I mean. So I really appreciate all the feedback I've gotten. I actually did get a video. Someone sent me a video of a guy running through a couple different gun drills in the house, and I really appreciate that. Especially one of them was pretty cool with pulling up your sight picture from the concealed position with your eyes closed. So you actually look off to like the left or the right or something and find something like an actual object. Close your eyes, kind of disorient yourself by looking back and forth, so you don't really know where it's at, but kind of get a picture left or right where that object is. And then you go and draw from the concealed position and actually try to bring your sight picture up to that object that's in your brain where you think it is, and then open your eyes and see if you're close. And it has a lot to do with simulating kind of like night training and being able to get that object, if it's a threat or whatnot, in your mind before you actually, so you're not looking through your sight window while your firearm's up. You're able to actually objectify where that is and be able to point towards that quicker. So that was a good little thing. If you guys want something to kind of work on, that was a cool way to check it out. If you want that video, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram or on our email, fletchedandloaded@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at fletchedandloaded. I'm not on there a lot just because I have it linked from my Instagram. I've been able to do a lot more there. But again, Instagram is Fletched and Loaded Podcast. And then on Facebook, Tony Gershon, just my name. So just come say hello and ask for any of those videos that I shared. I'm really curious what you guys think about this whole Under Armour thing. So, hit me up, leave some comments. I'd love to be able to share some stuff, people's viewpoints and opinions of, where they feel about with this whole bear kill thing. And, read up on it. Make sure you guys are as educated as possible. And, love hearing from you guys. Thank you to, Spec Train NC for all the love that you guys have shown to the podcast and all the likes on the posts and stuff. We really appreciate it here. Thank you to, Travis and Larry and a bunch of people, a bunch of different groups and whatnot. Actually just learned about Spartan Arms in Las Vegas. My brother actually bought me a shirt when they were just in Vegas, and I'm going to be checking those guys out. So Spartan Arms, if you guys are listening, I'll be trying to check you guys out as soon as I can, because my brother really loved checking out your guys' shop down there, all the equipment and the ammo that you guys had and all that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and trying to make it a little bit shorter, but I'm long-witted and I'm Irish. So those two things, man, they keep me talking for a while. But hopefully you guys have a great week. And again, hit me up on all the social medias. Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing, the Under Armour thing, any concealed different drills and trainings. I'd love to be able to try them out. Love to be able to check out some different things. Send me some cool videos that you guys have seen or that you guys have shot already. And love talking to you guys. So thanks so much for hanging out. And until then, guys, shoot straight and practice with all your stuff, your bows and your firearms and everything. And I guess we'll talk to you next week. All right. So have a good week, guys. We will talk to you later. I'd like to thank Ben Sound for all the music used in this podcast. If you need some music for your project, go ahead and go over to www.bensound.com. That's www.bensound.com. Thanks very much.